especially days when the weather starts to shift and it's gray outside, which of course is not usual for our beautiful Colorado weather. But anytime there's gray skies, I think it's a wonderful opportunity to draw inward. I know yesterday we did a lot of work with inverting. And today it's going to be a little bit different kind of internal rhythm. As we get closer to the solstice, at least in this hemisphere, it's this time of darkness, it's this time of turning in. And I it's weird how our rhythms sometimes don't match nature, right? So this really should be a time where we should be resting more, sleeping more, nurturing more, kind of healing and repairing a lot of things. And of course, lots of illnesses are about. So I think it's a very important time of year to include some restoratives into your practices. So we're going to do some of that today. It's not going to be a fully restorative practice, but we are going to spend a fair amount of time on the ground. So if you've been busy running around, just kind of having a lot on your plate, let your practice not only serve you in the sense of keeping you supple and fit, but that sense of being able to slow down and rest when the need is there. So let's begin with closing our eyes. All right, so depending on how you feel today, maybe you'd rather be standing, maybe you'd rather be lying down. So you don't always have to start sitting up. But if you are sitting or standing, let's sense into that alignment of your crown over your tail. And when you seek to find it, what might be getting in your way? Are you a little tender somewhere? Do you need to kind of wiggle around or move? Is your back needing a little bit of something before you can be still? So feel free to move your body if needed. And then, most importantly, bring your attention into the feeling of your breath. You can start listening to the sound your breath makes. See if you can attune to your own rhythm right now. What kind of rhythm do you want for your breath? Do you need to breathe a little faster or a little slower? If you're fatigued, you might want to emphasize the inhales. If your mind is needing a little calming, or your body too, you could increase your exhales. So remember, your breath is your tool to help your mind body. And also notice as you are breathing, if you're kind of breathing up, 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 if you're kind of topping the tank up. All right, so let's see if we can resist the urge to go upward with our breath, or at least with our body. Our breath, of course, will fill our upper lungs. But let's emphasize the wide and the low, since we often unconsciously emphasize the high. So let the inhale drop down and wide. See if you can keep all of that ring around your upper shoulders and neck, lower neck. See if you can keep all that area as soft as possible. These accessory muscles of breathing are necessary sometimes, but usually not when we're just sitting still. So let them quiet a bit. See if you can let the rest that you're discovering around your neck and shoulders translate up into your skull, a softness around your skull, feeling like your brain can soften away from your skull bones and your face can become that blank slate. The eyes soft, the sinuses, the jaw all soft, even your tongue. Being that the practice today is about nurturing ourselves, supporting our well-being. See if you can come up with a mantra, and it can be a sentence, it can be a single word on your inhale and a single word on your exhale. It doesn't even have to be a word, it can be an emotion or a sensation that you'd like to contemplate and cultivate. So, as we usually set an intention for the beginning of our class, let's place our hands together at our heart and bow just a bit so that when we cultivate this internal mantra, we're doing it from that space of a focused mind, focused heart, and even the sense of doing those hands centered and focused together. So, in that little trifecta of thinking, feeling, and doing, place your mantra. And let's release the hands and find our way onto our back. All right, so let's stretch out our body on the ground. So feeling that sense of some length. All right, first just notice the difference in your spine when you're horizontal versus vertical. You know what just released or freed up or made room. And enjoy that space. And let's open up the side bodies. Reach the left, reach the right. Feel free to let your shoulders and your hips go offline with each other. So you can drop one hip way down as you stretch that leg. You can reach one shoulder way up as you stretch your arm. Just feel into how your shoulders and your hips, these, joints that have a lot of capacity to help us move, and let them help your spine move. So just start noticing as you kind of accentuate this pattern of what's happening in your vertebrae, what's happening in your rib cage. And then relax and bring your arms down at your sides and bring your knees into your chest. And let's rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. Remember that your head is part of the sway too, so feel a little sloshy, or you can just let your body rock, let go. All right, and then hold on to your knees, and let's circle the knees, going one direction, going another direction. And then open up your knees and bring them back in. And as you start to feel embodied, where we're starting to place our attention and our awareness into the sensations of body, see if you can still work with the mind and the breath. So we're moving through our mantra as often as we think it, we can say it inside our head. And if it doesn't have a word or a sentence, if it's more of a sensation or just an emotional intention, keep it front and center as much as you can. Let's go ahead and put our knees down, our feet down onto the ground, arms out to the sides, and let's rock our knees left and right. So just very simple. We're going to deepen this twisting vibe in just a moment, but first, just getting your hips to rock a little bit, your knees to drop over to one side. Go ahead and cross your right thigh over your left thigh. Draw the knees into the chest. Hold on. You can hold on to one knee or both knees. Feel your hips begin to stretch a little bit. Drop the tip of your tailbone down, wide sit bones. Heaviness in your skull, lightness in your lumbar spine. So we're not heavy with our back on the ground. And then release that. Change sides.
Cross the other leg over. Left thigh over right, and just notice if one side feels different than the other, if you're a little more flexible on one side or the other, if you have stronger sensation on one side or the other. Again, tipping the bottom of your tail down so you feel a little lightness come into the low back on the ground. Wide sit bones. How's the breath? Heaviness in your neck, shoulders, and head. All right, put your feet, keep your thighs right where they are. Put your right foot down onto the ground. Lift up your hips and scoot your hips over to the right. And we're going to drop our knees over left. Grab a block if you need to put underneath your knees if the ground is too far away. And this is a big twist so early in the class, so the ground very well may be too far away. And even if you can do it, maybe you don't want to go that far just yet. All right, so let's breathe into the twist. See if you can enjoy the feeling of opening up the outer hip a bit. Full inhales and exhales. Chest be broad and big. And come back to center. Hips come back to neutrals. Change sides. Cross right thigh over left thigh. Move the hips over to the left. We're going to drop knees over to the right. You can stick a block underneath anywhere you want to put the block if you need. Feel that your chest is opening. Feel that your ribs are opening. Feel that your hip is opening. And take a beautiful breath. And now lift your knees back up to center. Readjust your pelvis so it's neutral. Bring your knees into your chest and pick your head up. Squeeze in. Inhale, spread out wide. Limbs are stretching. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Exhale, knees into your chest. Again, open up through your spine. Big open space. Exhale. Draw that space in. Release your head down. Right knee stays in, left leg long on the ground. Move your feet around. So find your way into all the little nooks and crannies. Feel into the sensation of opening up your feet. Doesn't it feel good to just take a little time to feel into little parts of the body? Mantra and breath. When you remember, bring that mantra. Left knee into your chest, right leg long on the ground. Feel the extension of that right leg. Keep moving your feet. Two knees come in, go ahead and rock. We're going to come rolling over onto our right side. You can put a block under your head if you need to, or just rest your head on the ground. Your hands are together, the arms are straight out from your shoulders. Your hips and your knees are flexed at right angles, stacking your legs. Take a deep breath. We're going to lift the left arm, open up into a twist. Let this be really about your thoracic spine more than your lower body. Take a deep breath into the chest, into the shoulders. And then relax and bring your hands back to touch. Roll right over onto the other side. Remember to stack your knees and your hips. Everything's at right angles. If you need support for your head, take it. Palms are together. When you're ready, open up and come into a twist on this side. All right, so breathe. Take the opportunity to find somewhere in your lungs that's accessible right now to bring the breath. Maybe you might feel like your right lung can expand more than your left. Allow that. Just bring the breath where it wants to go. All right, bring the hands back to touch. Okay, come back onto your back. Bring your knees in and go ahead and rock one more time. Happy baby pose. Grab your feet. And let's go ahead and rock a little bit if you want. The knees are down by your ribs. Just feel that flexion in the hips deeply. Let your head get heavy. All right, and then hold somewhere. It might be your big toes. It might be your behind your knees, anywhere. Let's go ahead and open the legs out like the letter V. Okay, so wide legs like an upside down Upavista Konasana. Let your spine and head get heavy. Breathing well. Lift those legs straight up in the air. Bring your arms overhead if you want. Let's flex and point the toes, getting your calves to open up, stabilize your core. Breathing deep. And then slowly lower your legs down to the ground. You can do it with bent knees or straight. When you're ready, big star, stretch out. Exhale, knees into your chest. Roll over onto your side and come up onto all fours. All right, turn your hands backwards so your fingertips point toward your knees. Curl your toes under and just stretch back a little bit just to open up the forearms a little bit. Spread out the bones of your hands. Find your breath. And then release that. Come back onto your heels and give your hands a big shake. When you're ready, inhale up onto your shins, reach your arms to the sky, a big cactus through your arms, and come back down towards child's pose. And do that once more. Inhale, wide arms up. Exhale, cactus your arms, and lower your body back down. And feel into your child's pose here. And this time, we're going to take our hands, our palms are facing up, and we're going to turn the eyes of our elbows forward. So this is a really big stretch for your forearms. So just be where you are. See if you can get the backs of the wrists down, the back of the hands close to the wrist toward the floor. And then release that. Shake out your hands one more time. Arms come up, and then cactus the arms, and exhale, come down. Shake your hands out if you need be. You can open and close your fists, anything that feels good. Come up onto your hands, and if that's a little vulnerable after the deep stretching, you can always come onto fists. All right, so let's start moving through some cat-cows, arching your spine and rounding the spine. Taking your time, enjoy, let your vertebrae find their movement pattern that they want right now. So it can start with some flexion and extension, but it certainly doesn't have to stay there. You can wag your tail, you can circle your hips, you can circle your rib cage, you can move your head around. So just find the freedom that you want for your back right now. Explore movement. Remember to breathe. Remember that feeling state, the thinking state of our mantra. Find your breath. Settle your hips back down. Come into child's pose when you're ready. Full breaths in, full breaths out. As you're ready, go ahead and walk the hands over to one side or the other so your ribs have the asymmetry to them. As you open up into this side bend, feel that sense of your rib cage expanding, allowing the breath to move. Over to the other side you go. Settle your sit bones down. Neck is soft and relaxed. All right, come back up, all fours. Spread out the hands. Curl the toes under and lift up to dog pose. So take your time here. Maybe very slowly pedal one foot down and then the other. You don't have to stay put in one stretch. You can stay in a movement pattern, but try to feel into the bottom of the feet, feel into the bottom of the hands. See if you can get that sensation of ground. And allow already to kind of open up our feet, our calves, our hands, our forearms, those places that are close to the earth. Let's use that sensation now. So ground in and then rise up. See if you can feel the root to rise, the sense of yield, and then push and reach. Find your movement now living in your breath more than any movement in your limbs. So steady your limbs. That internal movement is more about the yield and push, but the big movement is about the breath. Feel that state of an inversion. Let your head be heavy. Soften everything you can in your skull, including your face. And then walk your feet forward and release your neck. Soften, let your head bobble around a little bit. Feel that sense of the inversion. Maybe your head is getting full. And as you're ready, a halfway lift. Hands can be on blocks or legs. Stretch and lengthen your spine. Breathe here. Try not to go down right away. Breathe here. Sit bones high and anterior tilt of the pelvis. The feet are open. The spine is free. Fill your breath up. Empty your breath out. Next exhale, when it comes, relax. Bend your knees, melt your head, lower to the ground. Drop your seat, rise all the way up. Bring your arms to the sky. Okay, feel that sense of open space, that we're big and free. Maybe cactus the arms, feel the chest get broad, and then release the hands down. Give your hands a good shake. Okay, arms come up again. Press your hands out to the sides. Pull your whole arm a little further back than your shoulders. Lift your fingertips. Relax your neck. And then release your hands down. Give them a good shake. Interlace your hands, maybe the weird way, head behind your back. Open up across your chest. Bend your knees and let your arms leave your spine. Relax your head. Feel that melting. Then release your arms down to the ground. Inhale, a halfway lift, spine gets longer. Exhale and melt again. Let's step the left foot back. Come into a lunge. Put your blocks under your hands if you want them there. Open up through your chest. Start to feel the extension from your crown to your back heel. Discover your breath and your mantra again. Let's start to move with breath. See where you want to exhale and see where you want to inhale. We're bending your knee and straightening a bit. Feel that sense of an inversion. When that leg goes straight, let the head drop a bit. What happens when you let your head drop? What is the sensation in your body? What is the sensation in your thoughts and in your mind? And then come to a lunge. Rise up, crescent lunge, reaching the arms upward if it feels good. Extend through the spine, open the chest. We're going to take the hands down now behind us, interlace the regular way, since we did the weird way before. Open up through your chest, let that pose come into a little more fullness. Protect your low back. You can bend the back knee if you need. And then release your hands down. Put your back knee on the ground. You can uncurl your toes or keep them curled, whatever feels best for your foot. Lift up through your chest, hands on your knee. Reach your left arm up, up, up. Extend, feel the hip flexors open, and we're going to come over a little bit to the side. Feel the openness of your side body. Protect your low back. Feel your legs. Press into your front foot and back heel. Hug them toward each other.
And then as you're ready, we're gonna cross that forearm over to the knee. Your right hand is on your side to help lift your spine and twist. Hug into the midline with your inner thighs. Feel the legs stabilize and support you. Try not to collapse the chest, but broaden the collarbones. How's the breath now? Bring the breath into back hip. Bring the breath into the ribs. And then release the hands down. Bring your hands on the inside edge of that right foot. Runner's lunge, deep compression in that hip. Extend the spine. You can choose to keep your back knee right here where it is, or if you want a little more, you can lift the knee up off the ground. Your choice. Long extension in your spine. All right, when you're ready, back to dog pose. Feel into your breath. Melt what you can. Let's come forward into a plank. You can put your knees down if you're taking a little bit more soft of a practice today. You can put your knees down onto the ground. Whatever you're doing, we're breathing into the side bodies, right under your armpits. Breathe. And then find the ground. Roll the shoulders. Inhale, lift up through your chest. Exhale, and melt down. One more time. Lifting up, enjoy. Exhale, relax. Come up on all fours. Move the spine about. You can come back to child's pose or sway side to side. Let your back free up. Left foot is now coming forward. Come into a lunge. Lift your back knee up off the ground. Extend through your spine. All right, let's start to move here. Remember the breath. Remember your mantra. Bow your head. Maybe that feels good on your exhales. Maybe it feels better on your inhales. So follow the rhythm of what you want, what your breath is asking for today. Release expectations of where we're going and just be in the sensation that you're feeling. Let your body be grounded in the now. Let your mind be grounded in the body. All right. When you're ready, ground the legs. Bring yourself upright as you feel stable. Big, huge breaths. Feel the rib cage expand. All right, and this time interlace the weird way again. Open up the shoulders, squeeze the shoulder blades a little bit toward each other, not at the sacrifice of your ribs popping out and your low back shrinking. So feel the integration. Press your feet into the ground to open the chest. All right, ready? Bring those arms up again. Hands come down onto the block. Back knee comes down onto the ground. Enjoy your hip flexors. Decide whether you want your toes curled under or laying flat on the ground. Okay, we're going to come up. Reaching the right arm up and a little bit over. So feel that side body wake up and open up. I'm going to cross the right arm. You can put it on top of your knee, the forearm on top of your knee. Your left hand is on your thigh. Press down with that left hand to help you lift your spine. Try not to lose the legs. Hug into the midline. Press your front heel. Press your whole front foot. Feel the expansion of your spine, the broadness of your collarbones, the openness of your breath. And release your hands. Come back inside edge of that left foot. You can decide to keep the back knee down onto the ground, or maybe you'd like to lift the back knee up off the ground, whichever feels good. Compression in one side, extension in the other. Shoulder blades down the back. Breathe well.
Okay, back to a dog pose. Readjust so that there's balance, symmetry as best as you can between your left and right side. Okay, come forward into a plank. You can let your knees come to the ground if you want to. Breathe under the armpits. Let those upper rib cage, side ribs expand. Feel the bottom rib cage expand. And let's find the ground. Move your blocks out of the way, put them up over your head. Okay, we're going to scoot a little bit toward the right side of our mat. Bring your left knee high up toward your armpit. Just feel into that deep hip stretch. Extend through your spine. Your forearms can be down on the ground. And we're going to turn this into a twist. So our right arm crosses over to the left side of the mat, and then we flip over onto our back. Stretch the arms. So both palms, or both backs of the hands rather, are on the ground. Let your knee leave the floor. Big, huge breaths into your chest. Feel that expansion, that sense of space. And then let's release and roll all the way back over onto our belly. Scoot your body to the left side of your mat. Right knee comes up toward right armpit. You can stay low with your torso. Try not to just lean into the left side of your body. Give your body a chance to have that compression in the hip. And then when we're ready, cross the left arm over to the right and open your body out on the ground. So we're coming toward our back. The backs of both hands rest on the ground. The right knee leaves the floor. So we're coming into a full body twist, but really accentuate the stretch across your chest. Heaviness in your head, deep breaths. All right, come back around, up onto all fours when you feel ready for it. Swivel about your spine, rock your hips left and right. Breathing well. All right, we're going to take our forearms down onto the ground. Lift your hips, walk your knees back so your knees and hips are right over your knees. And then we're going to lift our elbows off the ground, walk your fingers forward, and start to drop the body toward the ground. So it's easy to collapse here, especially if you're hypermobile. Lift under the armpits so you're not collapsing in your shoulders. We're letting our thoracic spine open. And then come back, walking the knees forward, walking the hands back till we're on all fours. Sway the hips, move around in your spine. Okay, we're going to roll the rib cage here. So be inside that paper towel tube with your ribs. Okay, we're up, we're over, we're down, we're over to the other side. Just find that full circle of your rib cage. And then switch directions. We're preparing for a lot of openness for breathing. So feel that your rib cage is very mobile. All right, and then drop back towards child's pose. Breathing well. Relax your head. Let your breath travel down your spine. I'm going to come up to stand. So however you like to stand. We're going to find a wall, or even better, a piece of furniture. So if you have a piece of furniture, you can put your elbows on the furniture and drop your thumbs toward your spine. So we're just stretching through our triceps here. Now, if you don't have a piece of furniture, put your elbows against a wall and do this against the wall. Okay. right, so extend through your body here, breathing. Our, we're finding right angles if we can. You can bend your knees if you need to. Try, if you're hypermobile, try not to collapse through the rib cage. See if you can extend. Whenever you are ready to be done with that, be done with that and stand up and let's just shake our arms. Okay. All right, standing with your hips wide, rocking left and right. Okay, letting your arms be very loose. Just letting your spine open. Breathing deep. Okay, if you're not already, turn sideways on your mat so we can make this pose a little bit wider. Okay, so nice and gentle. We're not trying to, do anything extreme. Just getting free in our body. Squatting down, rising up. All right, and then find a squat, a wide-legged squat. That's as much of standing poses as we're gonna do today. So feel into the deep opening of your hips here. Full breaths. All right, hands come down, lift your hips, straighten your legs, wide-legged pose. Your toes can point straight, maybe even in. Let your head come down. Maybe you put your head on blocks. Maybe you let it dangle. See what feels good. Maybe your head comes all the way to the floor. Feel that sense of an inversion. Let your neck be heavy. Remember your breath. Remember your mantra. Come down and rest in child's pose. Relax your hips. Hopefully you feel embodied. You feel like we've touched just about everywhere in the body. Okay, so grab a blanket. Okay, we're gonna open it up so it's like this. And then we're gonna roll it. Now, if you're very flexible, you can roll 2 blankets in, one on top of the other. We're gonna make a round roll. You might need a block for this. All right, so we're going to have the rolled blanket underneath our upper shoulder blades. If you don't like the feeling of your head hanging back, you can grab another blanket or a block to stick underneath your head. Okay, so you decide what kind of support you need. The upper shoulder blades are here on the blanket, and start with your hands right up over your chest. And we're going to reach the left and then reach the right. So we just kind of settle our shoulder blades. All right, knees are bent to begin, and then experiment. Where do you want your arms? Do you want them up over your head? Do you want them at your sides? Would you like cactus arms? You can grab onto one elbow with, both elbows with the opposite hand and stretch your arms overhead. So experiment with what your shoulders like, what makes you feel open. And then once you've got your arms where you want them to be, you can choose to keep your legs bent, or you can straighten your legs on the ground. All right, so and you can choose to move your arms around. You can kind of stay somewhere for a couple breaths and then move somewhere else for a couple breaths. If you're feeling shoulder pain from an overhead movement, maybe make a different choice. Let your head to get heavy. All right, now we're going to drop our body down on the shoulder blades. So the roll is now, middle to bottom of shoulder blades. We are very much still under our shoulder blades. We are not in our low back at all. So stay under the broad shoulder blade bones. Again, choose a pathway for your arms and legs. Breathing deep. Breathing full. Lengthen your exhales. Let your breath out as much as you're letting it in. All right, now third position under your shoulder blades. We won't stay as long. So just drop another little notch down. So you're still under your rib cage. You are not in your low back. You feel your ribs underneath the blanket or on top of the blanket. And notice, the attachments of your psoas and your diaphragm on your spine. See if you can breathe deeply. Loosen your diaphragm up. All right, after a couple of breaths like that, we're going to bend our knees. We're going to lift up our body and move the blanket to be under our pelvis. So we skip the rest of our back entirely, and now we are under the pelvis. Okay, so adjust until you find your sweet spot, and then stretch your legs straight. Now, even though it may seem unnecessary, it does change things a little bit to stretch your arms overhead if you'd like to try that. Big breaths into the hip flexors, the pelvis, the belly. All right. Now you might need to adjust the blanket a little bit. We're going to bring our knees toward our chest. So sometimes I like the blanket to be a little higher under my sacrum when I do this, but you do you, whatever is your happy place. Knees toward your chest. Just let a little bit of counter pose happen. Melt the shoulders, melt the head, melt the spine. Put the feet on the ground. Lift the hips and get the blanket out of there. Feet down, neutral spine. Grab onto your shoulder. So we're going to cross your right arm over your left arm. Elbows try to stack if you can, and take your hands and hug your opposite shoulder. Head is heavy, pelvis is heavy, legs are heavy. And then change, bring your arms out, and when you bring them back in, left arm is now on top. Bring your hands to wrap around your shoulders if you can. Give them a hug, nice and gentle. All right, relax, roll over onto your side, come up onto the front of your body and come to child's pose. Let your arms be down at your side. Now, just as much as we open the front body for breathing, now let's open the back body for some breathing. So see if you can let the breath travel down your spine into the back rib cage, maybe even all the way to your tailbone.
If you'd like your shoulders to stretch a little bit differently in the opposite direction, put your palm, the backs of your hands on your hips, on the backside of your pelvis, really, not all the way to your sacrum, but just to a place where they can rest. So your wrists kind of fall to the sides of your waist or side of your pelvis, I should say, and then let your elbows fall. Be a nice internal rotation of the shoulders.
All right, when you're ready, sit up and just give your rib cage and your shoulders a little bit of a roll. Shake out your hands. Then we're gonna come either into pigeon pose or reverse pigeon pose. So you choose your pathway. If you want to put your pelvis on a blanket, you can unroll your blanket from the back bend we did to support. You can have a block for your head. If you're in reverse pigeon pose, of course, you can put your foot on a wall or on a piece of furniture so that your upper body can very much relax. So take this into the most restorative way that you can figure out to be. If you're in pigeon pose, support your head either on the floor, on your fists, or on a block. Square hips, a long, spacious spine. Feel free to rock your head left and right a few times so that you are sure to let your neck be soft and supple. If you're on your back, melt the back of your head down into the ground. Wide sit bones, long spine. Return again to the mantra and your breath. See if now you can let the exhales come out slow and steady. And change sides when you feel ready to do so. Take your time. You can do a dog pose in between if you're in pigeon pose. If you're on your back, you can just change the legs. All right, so adjust anything. Remember, no two hips are the same. So if you might need something a little different on this side, then you need it on the other side. So feel into that state of surrender. A long, steady exhale. What part of your head and face can you release more? Remember the neck and shoulders, that ring that we often breathe into, melted. When you are ready, there's no rush. If you're still feeling like, no, I want to just stay here, but then you stay. When you are ready to come out, though, we're going to choose a restorative pose. And there are so many to choose from. You can do leg up a wall pose or any inversion. You can do a shoulder stand and Halasana plow pose if you like. You can do a twist over a bolster. If you're not sure, this is what that looks like, where you have one leg in Virasana, one leg straight. You take the blankets or bolster out of your hip and you do a twist and lay down onto it. You can do a child's pose with the bolster. And of course, you know, everybody's favorite, you can do Supta Baddha Konasana. So, Supta Baddha Konasana is a really good pose just with nothing, but it's also a really good pose with lots of props. So if you want to stack things up to support you, if you're choosing that pose, then by all means, take any support that you need. The most important thing you're supporting is under your knees. Okay, so as you transition and choose a posture, if you haven't yet, get warm. You know, if you have a sweater to put back on or socks to put back on, now's the time so that you keep your heat. Okay. We're gonna go right from this pose, you know, pretty quickly into Shavasana. So we wanna have comfort and warmth be of primary importance. So any posture that you're choosing, you chose it for a reason. It probably wasn't arbitrary. There's something about the posture that you're liking or wanting or needing. So whatever that need is, let your body receive it. See if you can allow yourself to have some. Once you get settled, the most important thing you can do is breathe. So prop yourself up in any way your body requires so that you have the support that you need, and then allow yourself to melt as best as you can. It's okay to fidget a little bit, get it just right. If your pose is two-sided, be mindful to transition to the other side, like if you're doing a twist over the bolster, make sure you have equal mantra and breath. Melt the body. you're really happy, you just stay put. If you're ready to change, you can prepare your body for Shavasana in whatever way feels best. You can come on your back, and bring your knees to your chest, and walk around, or a happy baby, or a twist, or nothing wrong. Stay right where you are. See what you can do to fully relax. As you move into Shavasana, whether you're on your back or in a different position. Again, let the melting happen. Start to transition. Have little movements, big breaths. Your time. Hang on to your side. Just that when you're ready, there's no rush. Make your transition slow and smooth. As we come to sit, bring your hands together. Notice the gifts of the practice. Let's offer these gifts outward, share your energy. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.
I hope you have a peaceful, beautiful day.